Hey Kids Cook Real Food, Katie Kimball here, back with another expert on the Healthy Parenting Connection, where we connect parents who want to raise healthy kids with the experts who have the information they need. And today, we're going to talk about posture. You know, here at Kids Cook Real Food, we use work in the kitchen to create family connections, confidence, and creativity in kids. And nothing says confidence on the outside better than good posture. But today, my guest and I are going to go into what posture is doing on the inside and how vital it is to start off right with your kids. So Margie Bissinger is here with me. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, Katie. I'm so excited to be here because it's such an important topic, and I'm just really thrilled. So thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, this is going to be a really good interview. I just told my husband this morning that I'm interviewing someone on posture, and he goes, "Oh no, every time you talk to these people, you change something in our family." And I'm like, I know, isn't that a good thing? So something good is going to come out of this for my family, and I hope, yes, I hope for all the listeners out there too. Let me introduce you guys real quickly to who we're talking to. Margie Bissinger is a physical therapist and an integrative health coach, and those two disciplines merge really well in her goal to help her clients in a comprehensive approach to their health through whole foods, exercise, and mind-body relaxation techniques. But she is most known for being a bone health expert and a posture expert. She's the author of Osteoporosis, an Exercise Guide, the creator of Move Today, a New Jersey statewide exercise programs, and the online program called Happy Bones, Happy Life for people to prevent and treat osteoporosis and osteopenia. So I got the opportunity to hear Margie speak at a conference, and I was blown away. I had my phone out rudely, and I was like texting my mom, who struggles a lot with bone density and bone health, just always has. It's her cross to bear. And I was like, "Mom, bone health expert is saying this. Bone health expert is saying this." I was like so excited. So I am so honored to have you here today, Margie, and cannot wait to share your expertise with the world.
Oh, thank you so much. And I'm so excited because I love the work you do. You do so much great work, and I think you have such an impact on all ages, but especially these kids. So I think if we talk about posture, we can even give them a little something else that they can be improving their life with.
Perfect. I think it's such a forgotten part of health. It seems a little traditional, a little old-fashioned to say sit up straight. Like if I hear someone say sit up straight, they're probably 50 and over. I think of my dad, who's 80, was always telling me and my friends who would come visit, sit up straight. You don't look nice when you slouch and stuff. So to me, it feels old fashioned, and that's really unfortunate because it should be part of our healthy living journey. And I think it's forgotten. So to catch us up, why is posture so important for both kids and adults?
Well, first of all, if you think about it, way back, it was interesting because my kids who are older now, when they were I remember first grade going to the fair where you had to tell about what you did. And I'm with first graders, and I'm bringing in a model of a knee and a spine. And all of a sudden I look and everyone is slumped in first grade. I'm thinking, oh my goodness, what is going on? And that was before cell phones. Can you imagine today? Why it's so important is think about it. We can all try something. Let's just slump. Let's bring our shoulders in, round our back, and sit slumped and say, I feel great. Versus if our shoulders are back, not excessive, just comfortable. A spring is pulling us up. We feel open and expansive. And now we say, I feel great. There's a big, big difference. But on another level, why it's so important and what is it matters so much is that our body isn't meant to be in this position. It is not meant to be. The typical posture today is rounded, and the head is either down on a cell phone or forward, and the low back is rounded. And what happens just in this position, what happens is we're compressing nerves. We're compressing nerves, can even get numbness. We can get headaches because our neck is not in the right position and there's nerves there. Our muscles are not in the proper position to be strong. Our low back is overstretched. So how many kids now have low back pain? So everything's out of alignment just from this position. And the problem is the results, you may not feel it right away. So you may be okay, you're 7, 8, 9, and at 12 years old, oh my goodness, you have severe back pain or severe neck pain. Kids are getting all sorts of pain that they never did before. And I think because the postures that today's technology puts us in are not normal. They're really out of alignment with how our body is meant to be. But the good news is that there's several, just a matter of being aware of it. And once you're aware of it, you're able to change it. So that's the good news that I like to teach this, because it's easy. And then people feel so good and they have more energy and they're better at their sports. So it's just a win-win.
That is, I'm like balanced between surprised and not surprised that kids are actually feeling back pain. Because when I think of childhood, I think, yeah, you never really had pains, maybe a stomach ache here and there. Like kids shouldn't really get headaches, just because that was my experience. Like if you weren't sick, you generally felt good.
And that's how it should be. But unfortunately today, it's not. And even if they feel great, maybe at college age or later on, regardless, the changes that are happening now because of this posture can be permanent. So one example is if we feel our neck, we feel there's like an inward curve in our neck. Can you feel that? There's normally like
actually just touch my own vertebrae, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's normally, I brought my little spine here. It's a little,
oh, good.
It fell off, but there's normally a curve in the neck that goes, I don't know if you can see that goes in. And if you feel we have an inward curve.
So that's a good thing. So that's a good thing to feel a little inward curve.
Because kids and people, not just kids, this is adults too, are on their cell phone, when they're texting and they're in this position, they actually now have bony changes to that curve. So we're actually seeing changes in the neck curve now on X-ray of children.
Wow. So the opposite. So correct would be like curving in toward the front of my body. Incorrect then would be like bowing out backward toward the wall.
There's 3 curves that we have, and we have these curves so to give us for shock absorption so we can move effectively. It really helps us function optimally. So in the neck, it's inward. In the middle back, it goes out. I can show you on the spine.
Mm-hmm.
In the low back, it goes out.
Yeah.
And in the low back, it's back to being inward. So if we feel our low back, we feel that there's a space between the low back and the curve. And can you feel how it goes in a little bit?
Yeah.
Yes. So that's how it should be. And if we left the talk today and just thought about maintaining those curves, we would be a million times better.
That sounds easy. It sounds easy enough, but I do think people get in such bad habits. So I'm really curious, like, are we born with good or bad posture? Do we fall into bad habits? Are we taught bad habits? Like, how has this problem come up?
A good question, Katie, because when years ago, I was in Japan and I could not believe what was going on at the bus stop. Like 85-year-old women. What were they doing? They were squatting, and they were, they were using their body how it's used to be. So if you look at young children, you see how they move, how they're moving on the floor, how they're moving around, and you see that they're crawling, they're squatting, they're maintaining that inward curve in their low back. So does that make sense? So they're maintaining, when they're doing things, they're squatting. They're not, but then we take them and we put them in chairs. And now with all the technology and cell phones. And so instead of maintaining that curve, what they're doing now, they're rounding out their low back. And I think that's the beginning of everything falling apart. So I think if we didn't touch people, and we just let them squat and sit and do things. That's how they, used to go to the bathroom. When they had to use that squatting, then people maintained that. But now we don't need that. And somehow along the way, in the chairs, or we bend from the waist when we're supposed to bend from the hips and the knees.
That is so interesting. I know when I was going through Bradley birth classes for my first child, we were taught to practice that squat and like keep your heels flat, don't pop them up, bottom down, knees up. And for me, it was easy. I think I've always been really flexible. I was a dancer in school, but other women like could not get their heels down. And I kind of thought, oh, that's interesting. Like, it just wasn't my experience, you know? And so, so basically, it sounds like everything that we think of as civilization, right? Chairs,
Yes.
homes, technology are hurting us. So that would be a great mindset for a parent of a little one. Like, sometimes I'm envious of parents of little ones because, like, if you can know enough, you can start things off so well. So, like, try to encourage anything that seems more primitive in some ways. Play on the floor, squat. I know I have a friend who's a physical therapist and always talked about the W sit, how kids will sometimes will sit. The W sit is like the knees forward, the bottom is down, and the heels are out. So like, and that's really bad for the hips. Yeah.
Exactly. And the knees, everything. The key is with, and it's interesting because so often I'll be at someone's house who has a young child and I see that they have one of those jumpy things and they're in it for extended periods of time. And the problem with that is that you need to crawl, you need tummy time. You need to explore. Like babies need to touch their feet. They need to do all that. So prematurely, when they don't have the core strength, they're put into that. Not to say for a short time it's a problem, because I know how it is having a child around and, you know, trying to get your life together. So for a short time, nothing terrible is going to happen. But some people leave them there. Some people leave them there for extended periods of time, and that's when the problem arises.
Mm-hmm. Yes. I mean, when we have so...
Yes, with primitive, I think if we could go back and go to the primitive culture where they're carrying things on their head, they can't have their head forward. They can't, they'll break their neck.
Right.
So when we're doing things like that and when we're using our body how it's meant to be, we don't have any problems with posture. That's the good news. But the good news also is just learning a few tweaks. We can adapt to modern technology and do things in a different way so that we don't hurt ourselves. So it's not impossible.
That's good to hear. I like that message of hope. And I had a different question, but you just mentioned carrying things, and it made me think of kids and adults too, and backpacks and shoulder bags and all the things that we carry. Can you talk real quick about how we use our shoulders?
Yes. So sure, the backpack. Then there's lots of things written. People can even go. The American Physical Therapy Association has some good information. If you just Google American Physical Therapy Association, they have a really good handout on backpacks, which can go in detail. But the key is you don't want your backpack to put you in this position, or and you don't want it to be too heavy. Use the locker. Just use the locker. And how does it feel? Are you in pain all the time when you're carrying the backpack? I think sometimes people carry it too low and it causes them to be in a certain position. Or so often they carry it on one shoulder or the other shoulder and it's going to put them off balance.
So 2-shoulder backpack is better. If you have a 1-shoulder one, does it count if you try to switch it evenly? Does that help?
If you do. Again, some of them go across the body, so that's better too because it's, sometimes you can go across the body. But I prefer the 2-shoulder one. And they also have some that you have stronger support straps. So it gives you, and sometimes they have a strap in the front to even give you more support. They have that certainly when there's a hiking or something to that effect. But yeah, the 2-shoulder. How does it feel? Can you be in a good upright posture? Is it forcing you to bend forward? I think also listening to your body. Huge. If you're in pain while you're carrying that backpack, something's wrong. Or are you bent forward? That is not, you want to be, all of the shoulders should be back and down. So you engage the core muscles. So think of the muscles in the back of the shoulder blades, like back and down. Not extreme. Good posture should not be something that you work at. Good posture, when everything's in alignment, it just falls in place.
Okay, but when we have bad habits, we probably have to work at it for a little while, at least remind ourselves like, oh, I'm doing the thing. I was just in an airport and I could not believe it. I mean, I could believe it, but it's shocking to look around and how many adults' heads are so far down and people were typing and just hunched right over. And I thought I need to see that and to have an awareness of my own head so that when I feel myself sticking my neck onto my computer and like, oh, what
I found works the best. I've been doing this for over 30 years. So what I found works is the reality we do not think, we're so busy. We do not think, oh my goodness, where is my head? It's in front, or my shoulders are down. We don't think that. So, and it really doesn't work to tell someone, be aware of their shoulders. But what does work is if you do 3 to 5 times a day certain exercises that increase your awareness of your posture. Does that make sense?
Yeah, very cool. So you're just kind of getting the habit in your body instead of trying to tell your brain to have a new habit, which is really, really tricky. I know, and you have some videos to share that we can use.
Yes, yes. There's 3 exercises that I like. I'll show you one right now.
Cool.
On the screen. But so if this is the position that we're in and we're over our desk, if at least I would say 3 to 5 times a day or during a break, do this exercise. So what you do is you sit in a really good position. And I go over how to do that on the videos, because that's, before we even talk about that, it's the low back. It's not so much the shoulders around it, because I'm going to do something. I guess, I don't know if you can see me here. I'm going to just,
there you go. Yep.
Low back. So what I'm doing is just rounding out my low back. And why doesn't everybody try that? Sort of round out their low back and see what happens to your neck and shoulders.
Oh yeah, everything falls forward.
Everything falls forward. So if we keep that low back rounded, which so often people do, there's nothing, there's very little you can do. The key, I found, the key is that low back. So a couple things. If you have a chair with a back, and I brought some props, you can take a towel and just roll it up. You see that? And then you just take that and you put it right in the inward curve in your low back. So it'd be like right in here.
Mm-hmm. And that's for kids or adults, right?
Anybody. And so now if you have a chair with a back, you can't round out. It forces you in an upright position. They make them too. You know, they make all sorts of, this is one that has buckwheat. They make these professionally. But the towel roll works fine. They even make them that you can blow up. You can travel with them. Great on the airplane. I always do. My big thing is I take a workout jacket and I roll it up and put it in my low back. Because so that's one possibility. And I show these in the videos. One possibility is just if you have a chair with a back. If not, believe it or not, you want to sit more on the edge of your chair, legs apart. And if you again, I'll show this in detail so you can refer to the video later. But if you sat on your hands for a second, like sit on your hands.
Okay.
You'll feel there's 2 bones. Those are the sit bones. So that's what we want to sit on. If we go too far forward, we're going to slouch. And we don't want to hyperextend either, because that's not comfortable. You want to just be directly on those bones. It takes practice. And the other thing, you can take your chair and you can turn it. Like turn it so I'm sitting, you see that? I'm sitting
in the corner.
Yes. And if you sit on the corner and straddle that, that also helps you upright.
Okay, it kind of like forces you into the right alignment, because you can't really slouch one way or another, you'll fall off your chair.
Right. Or even a ball. Yeah, have you ever seen people at their desk sitting on balls? I did bring this ball chair that I have. Can you see that at all?
Oh, it's a ball with a back. Oh my gosh.
Yes. So that is really comfortable, because it allows you, that chair allows you to move and get your pelvis in the right position. But even just a ball, you know, the body likes to be in different positions. It likes to change. So if you have some options, it doesn't like to sit in one position for a period of time. But all of that will keep the low back, and so it's not overly rounded. And another thing I sometimes do is I have someone go into, like, I tell them they're sitting on a clock, and so the front of the clock is 6, the back, the front of the clock, you know, is 12 and then 6, and I just have them go from 12 to 6, and then they close their eyes and go smaller and smaller until they stop. And that's a really good way to like get in that good position as well.
Sure, to like find your middle.
Find your middle, and you have your feet flat on the ground. And I go into this in the videos, so people will be able to see that. But the point is, that's how we're supposed to sit, believe it or not.
Okay, that's awesome. And these videos, guys, we will share the link wherever we share this video. They're totally free, so you can refer to them. And with your kids too. And my little tip on that is to, at the beginning at least, put a few reminders in your calendar. Like we look at our phone, what is an average of 85 or 185 times a day. So like if you want to start a new habit, put a reminder at 10 and noon and 3. And then when you pick it up, you go, oh, okay, I'll do my little like low back posture thing that Margie told me to do.
I didn't even show the exercise. So this exercise, you can keep your arms, whatever position that's comfortable. And all you are doing, this is so easy, is bringing your shoulders back and down. So the muscles are working. So it's just so it's not like we're doing, it's not arms. It's just the shoulder blades going back and down. Right. Not up. We want to keep the neck really relaxed. So it's just back and down.
And the arms, are your hands like clasping behind your back or not even that?
Can you see better if I do it on the side? Can you see? So my arms are just relaxed.
Straight down.
They're just going back and down.
Okay. And that'll help train. And I can feel the lower back, like remembering to curve too when I do that.
But we don't want to go too far. It's basically using, even if we barely move the arm, muscle working. And then you could just hold it for a few seconds. But it's waking this muscle up. It's saying, hey, because what happens is when we're like this all day long, it's overstretched, it becomes weak, and we don't even know how to use these muscles, and they're so important. So by just throughout the day, like, hey, just waking them up.
That's great.
Another one is if your hands are like here, and you just bring them back and down, with like someone's like, hands up, and then just back and down. Just something to wake up these muscles because they're stretched all day. So if you did nothing else and just maybe 3 or 5 repetitions, 3 to 5 times a day, did that, huge improvement.
Wow. And that's so simple. All right, you guys. So I want to see you tagging Kids Cook Real Food and tagging Margie Bissinger on Instagram with pictures of your family, like doing these, waking up your muscles.
But gentle. It's not forceful. It's just very gentle, just a reminder.
Okay. Got it. So we're not working out, we're just waking up. Right. Which I have a very good vision of what people are like when they wake up. They're not doing big motions. So I get that. That's my children every morning, like, oh, Mom.
Right. And then once you learn the right way to sit, it feels better. That's the other thing. This is another fun thing. So feel your low back for a minute. Put your hand in your low back.
Okay.
Just bring your head forward and feel what happens to the muscle. Can you feel anything happen?
Yeah. Did it constrict or like relax?
So
yeah, okay.
What happens is the head is supposed to be in alignment. Like the ears are supposed to be over the shoulders. So everything's supposed to be in alignment. And then the muscles do not have to work. The normal head is around 10 to 12 pounds. But when it's forward, if we remember from physics, distance times weight. So now that 10 to 12 pound head can weigh 60 pounds of force.
Oh man, that makes perfect sense. So now our muscles are all working, and that's why we're all walking around going, oh, my back.
Right, and then the low back feels it, because the low back is trying to stabilize it. So all the way down to the low back. And that's why at the end of the day, people are just so fatigued. They want to crawl into bed. And it doesn't have to be that way.
This is so interesting. I always say that, like, I'm the worst sitter in the world because I hate sitting with my feet down. I always like tuck my legs up pretzel style or like even kind of squat on my chair, but I think I do it with my back rounded. So this will be great, like awareness for me. And so obviously starting kids off right with good habits means they don't have to break bad habits later. So that's a huge benefit. But are there like mood benefits? Did I hear you say that to posture?
Yes. Think about that. Think about, that how do you feel when you're open and expanded? You feel so much better than when you're contracted. So there absolutely are mood benefits by being in a better posture. It can have a tremendous effect on your mood. Who would think?
Wow. Yeah, I would not have expected that one. But I mean, obviously, as parents and families, the happier the family feels and the better the moods, the happier everyone feels. So we can get these good habits in our families. That's great. So now go ahead.
No, I just think one way I found with kids, they don't really care that much about their posture, but what they do, and I realized this with those first graders when I was talking to them, What they did care about is their sports performance. So that if they knew that they're not going to be able to be as good in a sport if they're in this position, which they're not, their core is not working for them. So you're not going to be able to hit a tennis ball. You're not going to be able to do really every sport if you're in that rounded posture. So if they know that this is going to significantly affect how they perform in sports, that's a motivation. And that's a way also in sports or being trained or working with, if anyone really has problems, I would suggest they see a physical therapist because they could work with them and, figure out what the problem is. Because sometimes someone might just be tight, but they need someone. They can't do it on their own. They need someone to loosen them up, figure out what's constricting, and then they can, soar and do amazing themselves.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. And, I would think if your kids aren't in sports, this would apply too to theater. You're going to be cast better if you hold yourself well. First impressions make a huge difference. If you're in band or music and you're scrunched, your lungs are like unable to breathe fully and get that full sound out of your instrument or singing the same way. Wouldn't you think? So you got to figure out what your kid's motivation is.
When you see singers, they know how to breathe properly. They know how to use their ribs. They really, like the good singers, they can't operate like this. And the one I love is the cello player. I always tell people to look at because she's sitting with her legs apart, with the instrument in the middle, in a beautiful posture for her to be able to perform that. And that's why they always wear long skirts. They can't have their legs crossed, or they can't have, it's a problem to have really good posture with your legs crossed.
Oh, okay. So that's really a good point. And I think like adult women, of course, are most likely to cross their legs, but I see men doing it more and more. My oldest son keeps crossing his legs and I'm like, buddy, dude, like I know that's not a good habit. And so I think more and more younger children are trying to cross their legs to look older. What's our plan there?
Think of that. If you cross your leg, do it for a minute. What happens to your low back?
Well, I'm standing.
Oh, okay.
I'll disappear.
You can't do it. When you cross your leg, and everybody who's listening, when you cross your leg, what happens to the low back? It rounds.
Oh, yeah.
The thing is, and I'll just see if you can see this right now with the microphone. See, I'm sitting with my legs really far apart.
Mm-hmm.
I kept the chair straddled a little bit, but when you get used to that, it looks a little weird at first. Like people, you go to business meetings like that. I just, I do, but I would wear either a suit. I wouldn't. And if I am in a shorter skirt, which I do sometimes, I don't then put my legs quite as far apart, but I still sit upright. But the absolute best situation is legs apart on the sit bones. And it just happens naturally. You don't have to work at it. They do sell some like cushions and things you could put like under yourself a little bit. It forces you a little bit to like, do you ever see those Scandinavian chairs where you sit on your knees?
Oh, yeah.
Yes. So the theory on that is they tilt your pelvis a little forward so you can't round out.
Wow.
The problem is that nothing can move in those chairs and the body likes to move. So your knee is sort of stuck. So they now make them a little different. But, if you had that, if that felt good and you moved and put a different chair, but you can also tilt the chair a little bit forward if that helps you. These tilt a little forward if that seems to help you sit more in the sit bones.
That's interesting. So crossing legs is just a no-no, no matter how you do it. If you say, I'll just evenly cross one leg and then the other leg, doesn't help.
For a minute, it's okay. Just if you want to ease the tension or you need to do something. But you should really, again, this doesn't happen overnight. It does not happen overnight. But you should once you practice once you practice sitting with the legs apart and just sitting, you really you just don't want to do that because you'll see, you'll end up feeling like this. And as you said, people don't realize they don't present as well. They just don't feel as well. People are going to be amazed at the energy they have. And the good news is I work a lot with people all ages. And I work with people who are in their 60s, 70s, so their whole life. There are certain classes that I in the state of New Jersey that I sort of oversee. And the whole state uses these exercises, the posture program.
Cool.
Really, the entire state of New Jersey, seniors who are in these programs do this posture program. The 3 exercises that I have in the video.
Nice.
Yeah. And the interesting thing is that I'll go into a class in the beginning and everyone's sitting like this. And then within a matter of weeks, everybody, no matter how old they are, is sitting up and it's amazing the difference. So it's easy to do. That's the good news.
And it's never too late.
Never,
I love that.
Never. Maybe you're not, sitting, but regardless, it's still a huge improvement, right?
That's great.
Never too early. So.
That's great. So we've talked a lot about sitting, and I just mentioned I'm actually at my standing desk. What are some good points or tips for the standing posture?
Okay, I think a couple things. Maybe I'll stand up from it, but the key for everything is think of a string. So think of your spine as being lengthened. So think of your spine attached, either that your head is a helium balloon or it's attached to a helium balloon. And someone is pulling straight up. So you always, and visualization is amazing. The body loves that. So if you're always visualizing that your spine is lengthening, it really helps to walk around that way versus walk around thinking gravity and everything's pulling us down. So we visualize the spine lengthening, also visualize that you've won the Olympics and you are wearing the Olympic medal. It's funny because I once said that women are wearing this necklace and the men are wearing the Olympic medal. Oh my goodness. So you are so sexist. And I'm like, oh, I didn't mean it like that. So everyone has won the Olympics. They're wearing the gold medal. No, it was really crazy. They're wearing the gold medal. And you want people to see that. You don't want it to be all closed up. So that's a good visualization. The other thing is you don't want your joints hyperextended. So I'll stand for a second. So for example, the knees, a lot of times, can you see me?
Yeah, I can see your knees.
Hyperextended. You always want them soft. And
so is hyperextended like locking your knees?
Locking.
Oh, okay.
Exactly. You don't want them locked at all. And people do that. That's very common. So you always want them soft.
Okay.
The arms, you just always want all the joints soft because they get wear and tear if they're in that position.
Makes sense. I notice a lot of people, especially if you're standing and talking, we tend to like turn one foot out and bend one leg and poke the other hip out. You know, that little posture thing. Is that not a good idea? Is that fine if you just do it on either side?
The thing is, the body doesn't want to stand in one position for a long period of time.
Yeah.
So like for you who does cooking, one thing that's good is have a little stool. So you can put one foot up, then you can put the other foot up because it just changes the muscles so nothing gets too tired.
Okay.
That's like a really, but I think it's good to move around, but no, you don't want to like hang one hip out. You don't want to hang the other hip out. You know, you can do things like do circles or something if you're standing. You know, it depends where you are. But
right, you don't want to be in conversation like doing the hula.
Just do little movements, you know, lift one foot and the other, go on your toes and heels, or, you know, move around. That really helps with standing. But also the stool is very helpful because at least it changes you. It gives you.
Okay, super interesting. So you mentioned being in the kitchen. What about upper body? You know, we teach knife skills, and I did get, you know, an email or two like, oh, you don't look very ergonomic in your videos. And I'm like, really? Like it feels fine. Some kids look really, really awkward, and we kind of address that. But what would you say, like shoulders, elbows, wrists for knives?
Is, if they're working, I think exercises to strengthen the back are important. So they know that is the core, and that should be stable. So if you have a stable core and you're doing things, you're not going to hurt yourself. If that makes sense. Everything's sort of working together. But I think as long as you're not forward, so I think if you think shoulders back and down, not to the point of pain, comfort, and then wrist in neutral. You know, you don't want your wrist hype. You don't want your direction. You want the neutral. And I think if you're doing using your whole body, you know, you're not just. You want to just try to use the whole body when you're doing the motion. I think that's
okay.
Probably when people are, you know, I think you can be standing and just be and not care. I think what it is people don't. It's not they don't care. They just don't realize. They're so worried about cutting that they're not realizing the position you're putting their bodies in.
Yeah, makes sense. And we talk to parents a lot about getting kids at the right height, because if a child's at a counter and it's way up here and they're trying to reach, not only is it kind of not safe, but it's hard on the shoulders. Similarly, if you're a very tall person, even working at a normal counter, you could probably get slouched. So maybe like a raised cutting board for very tall people.
Like when you're at the computer, it's around, you want like 90 degrees on the computer, you know, when you're typing. So that's the same type of principle. You want it so that it's not forcing you. You never want the shoulders up, and you don't want it too far down that you have to bend. I think that's huge about the right point. Also, I think if they get tired, sit then, mix it up. Have some standing. If you have to do a tremendous amount of chopping, then sit. Or also, if you're standing for a really long time while cooking, have some of those those mats they make.
Oh, yeah.
It's a hard floor so that your body doesn't absorb all the force.
Sure, that makes sense. Now, of course, we won't have to do a tremendous amount of chopping because everyone in the family will be helping.
Oh,
so
I love
better. Right?
That's amazing.
Yeah, I'm so glad you just said so a 90-degree angle, because when I got this standing desk, I wondered like, well, where do I stop it? You know, what is the appropriate position? Because I've never gotten to make that decision before.
Right. You want around 90. You want your eyes to be like, you know, the top of the screen so that you're looking just a little higher. You want your eyes like 2 to 3 inches below that.
Interesting. So my screen is too low, but I think my keyboard's right.
You want your head to be neutral. You want your head to be in a neutral position, you know, not that you have to bend forward, and you don't want to look up either.
Right. So how do we train our kids who are never going to be able to escape devices, no matter how much we maybe don't want them to, like they're going to have phones and tablets as they grow? How do we teach them to get a good habit on like how to hold them?
The best thing, I think, and I actually have a video. One of the videos is on tech, because it's really a big problem. And I think people are going to end up, well, they already are seeing, as I said, changing the spine, but people spend so much time. So first of all, if they can dictate, you know, if they can speak into the cell phone instead of text, anything to minimize that. But the key is bring the phone to you. So instead of you going down to the phone, think of, okay, I'm going to make this an exercise. Shoulders back and down. I'm going to be here, and I'm just going to bring the phone up to me.
Mm.
Now, I show on the video, I now have a phone case that the EMFs, the electromagnetic phone case that blocks that. So now I have, but my old phone case, I could put one of those, you put something on.
Sure.
That. And I show that in the video that you can just, but regardless, you just take the phone and, you get used to this. You think of, how can I make it a game? Okay, string pulling me up. How can I stay in good posture while I do that? It's really not so hard.
Mm-hmm.
And it's good strength. I'm strengthening my back and down. So I think okay, when you're at a table, then put it on something, raise it up so you don't have to bend over, or get a stand. They even make stands. I did want to mention something. We'll finish this, but there is something about the computer I wanted to talk about. So. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, what you did, it makes sense. It's not hard, but I've never seen anyone, and even this, like I said, when I was in the airport and I saw everyone so down, and I thought, well, I'll do better. And so I was probably at like a 50-degree angle, but my head was still down. It's way up there.
I know the injuries. When you've worked over 30 years as a physical therapist, I know the injuries to the neck. And it's interesting because even my kids who are in their 20s, where they're significant, all of them, a lot of them, Mom, can you fix my neck or this and that? And then I feel, and it's so tight. Even though they know, my kids know, they've learned this their whole life, but still sometimes you'll catch them and like, wow.
Yeah, because it's so many minutes and hours of our day with these screens.
Right. But one other thing I wanted to talk about is if you have, because most people don't have major computers, right? They have the laptops, even the kids. So what I do, when I had my kids do this in college, so instead of, because if you just have the laptop, it's not really the right height. It's not 90. So you buy, I should have brought mine down here, but you buy a stand. They have like a computer stand. And then you buy a keyboard and a monitor. And then you can work like a regular, then you can easily get that.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean.
You have a mouse. You have a mouse, a monitor, and then a keyboard. So you set, and then you put it on the stand. So you're not looking at that computer, you're looking straight ahead, and you can fix it up so it's really in good posture.
That's interesting. So, I mean, I think what you just said is that if you even have a laptop on a desk, because the screen is connected to the keyboard, one or the other is going to be wrong. If the screen's high enough, your hands are way too high. If your hands are correct, the screen's way too low. Now, I mean, this is all exacerbated if you actually put your laptop on your lap on the couch like my kids do.
Yeah, and the other,
that's terrible.
You don't want to go there, but also the EMFs and the radiation, that is really a lot.
I know. I do want to go there. I'm like, get that off your lap. Like, we have a desk, but yeah, this is really, really super helpful. Is there anything else? Kind of like, I love to leave parents with something super practical. Like if we did one thing, I think I already know what it is because you kind of said it, but if we just did one thing to help our families have better posture habits, what would it be today?
I think to try to have them maintain that inward curve in the low back, and just when they're sitting, either just make sure they're not rounding out. And it's simple. If they're on the couch, a real soft couch, simply take a towel roll. Start with that. And have them work on the sitting. I think that's good. I think that would be because they sit so much.
Yeah.
So much of our life is sitting. Or look at my videos. In the videos, it goes through exactly what we talked about, but in detail, how to learn that. And once they do, they have that. They have it. You sit like that. You feel good. It's just such a win-win. I can't even explain.
Yeah, this has been so helpful. Margie Bissinger, physical therapist and integrative health coach, so much about posture and the super practical information. Definitely, you guys, grab those videos. Links will be below here for Improve Your Posture in 2 weeks. I love that it's 2 weeks because it feels super doable.
On that, I did one every other day when I did the program. So there's 7 videos, and then you can just do one, and they're really simple and they're really short, but just these tips that are just so helpful because I've done them for 30 years with people, but they really work and they're easy and make a big difference.
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, the challenge today, parents, is to start thinking about posture as one of our pillars of health. I think we all know that food's important. We know our environment's important. We talk a lot about even just mental health and connecting with our family and talking with each other in family dinners. But I think posture's kind of like the forgotten younger child here, but we really do need to remember this. It's a huge part of health. And if you have friends or family who are maybe in that older generation, definitely think of Margie for bone health when it comes to osteoporosis and osteopenia. Like I said with my mom, I was like texting all these like little tips that she was sharing and different just information about bone health. Our bones are quite integral to our bodies and very important to think of.
Thank you so much. And yeah, and the bones, for your children, get them exercising, doing jumping jacks. All the forces that go on their bones when they're young can prevent osteoporosis later on. So if they are a couch potato, get them off the couch.
Very, very good tip for so many reasons, but bone health is a great one. And again, thank you so much, Margie, for being here. We really appreciate it. Audience, come back next week for more ways to connect you, the parents who want to raise healthy kids, with the experts who have the information you need. I'm Katie Kimball for Kids Cook Real Food.